Nick was quite impressed. Nick's about 80 years old. Phone call, anywhere outside of St. Mary's.
She's good at it. She has a hard life.
I think the live ones.
We're live? Marvelous. Can I call this meeting to order at 6:46 p.m.? Any declarations of community interest? None so given. Is there anything that we want to discuss or pull from the agenda? Or can I have, there is an amendment as of yesterday afternoon.
Yes, and if you had already printed it, I do have extra copies of the plan to attach to the report. Would anyone like a copy now while we're?
Sure. Actually, that would be great.
You have one,
I have one.
I think.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's really nice. I really like the new pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, with the amended item, which is the capital campaign update 5.2. This is amended document, appended document. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? All in second? All in favor? So carried. And consent agenda, is there anything that we want to pull for discussion?
Well, this looks like an interesting item.
Oh, yeah, I think we're gonna talk about that in new business.
Oh, okay.
5.2,
Right.
but this one's just the minutes and our reports for the month, of how wonderful we are, obviously, and how wonderful we're doing.
I have a question about adult learning, and I know the budget goes in March, and is there any inkling for next year in terms of funding or anything? I know it's a big question every year, but
We have not heard anything about the 2026 budget yet from them. We were actually having trouble getting in touch with our contract for a while. Now we've had contact with an temporary alternative. We're not sure why we have an alternative. So once this individual returns to work, I hope we'll get some more information. But we have applied for additional funding for 2026 to pay for new marketing materials, because now that we have to add the Get Set to all of the documentation. We prepared quite a detailed list of marketing materials we'd like to purchase and have done over, including our website and pamphlets to hand out and business cards. And we're waiting to hear if we get that funding, but that wouldn't be operation per se, like it's more for that particular focus. No, we haven't heard.
Okay.
We've asked and there was no, first it was, we don't know. And now we haven't been able to reach him, so.
Yeah, we just submitted our business plan at the end of January, and it's normally a few weeks after that that they tell us if we're getting funded, and we get funded.
okay, thank you.
There's lots of turnover in that role, so I think that's probably fundamentally, they just don't have a person. We've had how many people in the last?
I can't, yeah, Kevin.
It's just a new person every 6 months, so I'm sure that's why. I'm a temporary person.
Yeah, I sent an email to our ETC and I got a bounce back, and it didn't give me, I had a question about the business plan, it didn't give me an alternative contact, and it didn't give me a date of his return. And so I just started emailing old contacts.
So
resourceful. Yeah, someone's gonna answer, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I have anyone willing to make a motion to consent agenda to be at the business office? Or second, please. All in favor? Great.
Sorry, I didn't see the second bit. Thanks, Frank.
Sorry, I was just pointing. Okay, new business strategic plan update. Go ahead, Sarah.
So we are entering the final year of the library board's strategic plan. And every year I try to give you an update about what we have accomplished in the past year. The report presents and speaks to the 5 strategic pillars of our strategic plan, and then broke down the accomplishments from 2025 there. And then I also attached the copy of our strategic plan, which very formally breaks it out, but places it within the context of all of our other strategic directions from this four-year plan. So some of the highlights this year, again, we hosted the author from PC Reads, Dan Needles in St. Mary's. Not only did we host him for an author session, but we also hosted the luncheon for the entire county. We had a contest that invited a select number of readers from across the county to come enter a contest to win lunch with Dan. And we had it here at the Gillies Clubhouse. And really positive feedback from everyone. He is a very engaging author, very friendly, and some of the personalities of the participants were also quite lively and very interesting. So everyone had a lovely lunch, and then we headed over to the PRC and had an author chat with them, which was great. I had not met Dan before, so it was a real pleasure to participate in that. And we are again going to participate in 2026. Planning is underway. And there will be more. I just mentioned this because it will be, I'm doing an interview tomorrow with the Independent about 2026 PC Reads. And we are going to hold voting in the county of 5 titles. And you get to nominate which one you like. And then the choice will be made based on popular vote.
Cool.
So you'll see it in the Independent next week, and then voting opens in March, and then we will make a selection. And the 5 that are up were chosen by the PC Reads Committee, of which St. Mary's is a member, and we nominated books that we thought would be a good conversation starter for Perth County residents, and that are good reads. Then there's a mix of male authors and female authors. So this is the 3rd year that we're doing this, and so it will be really interesting to see which title is selected. More to come.
So I just wanted to make a plug too. Logan Taylor came and talked about their book. And that book has been nominated, like it's one on the short list. It's one of the 5 books for Canada Reads.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Logan was here.
it's Tegan and Sarah, I think it's
Tegan
Tegan
that
who
nominated
is championing that book. So that's very exciting.
And,
Local author.
Yeah, Logan was here in 2023, I think it was. In fact,
Was it 23 or 24?
maybe it was 24. He just sent me an email letting me know that Canada Reads has a package available to libraries that are some of the titles and then a book club set, which I thought was really thoughtful of them. So I responded, congratulated him on his nomination. That's a big accomplishment
It's
to make that
huge,
list.
yeah.
Even it's a big list, but it's a big accomplishment. And personally, it's been one of my favorite books that we've covered in our Living Library series. So highly recommend it. We have it in the library if you want to read it. Very good. And Logan, if you aren't familiar with Logan, is Ray Needles.
Reed Needles and
Reed
and
Needles.
Reed Needles and
Reed.
Claire Mitchell, who lived just outside of St. Mary's.
Really good. In addition to that activity, we've had some new programs that we started offering, including the Learning for Life series. That was a range of different opportunities for the community to learn from some of our regional experts. We've started hosting leads here in the space, and that's been going well. Our Ukrainian homework club has continued for the Ukrainian arrivals. In fact, we were just meeting before our board meeting tonight. They have quite a few participants coming to get homework help. We've launched some new software in the library to support public services. We have a new way to book club sets in Perth County. We have a new interlibrary loan system. We have a new something. And our website was updated, so people are still trying to navigate that. We are now hosting meals, bagged lunches, I'll refer to them as, in the pantry once a month that are prepared by our PRC volunteers, which is very popular, and all of them are taken within a fairly short period of time. Our collections, we've purchased some new Sela Envoys. They're very small digital download almost like the old Walkmans, but much smaller and lighter. And they allow us to download many titles of books on them for a patron. We have 2 patrons right now that are actively using them, so we load up 9 or 12 books. They take them home and they can enjoy listening to the audiobooks without the hassle of them trying to figure it out. One individual has extremely low vision and doesn't have a laptop, so it'd be really challenging for her to do it, so staff intervene, we help her. And we've had good feedback on those. We also were the recipient of that $500, the Sarah Badgley Award. That funds were used to purchase more dyslexia titles for our early readers. Our spaces have been, we've received some more equipment. We have it's not through the window, a little beaver box. There he is behind us.
Yeah.
It looks like he has black sunglasses on,
Yeah.
that little box. He is a bladeless
There he is.
cutter that we use for programming. He's great for cutting cardboard. Over Christmas break, we offered 2 really fun programs. It's a multi-generational tool. Adults are liking it as much as children. Very safe. The participants made gingerbread houses one day, and the second day they did masks. So we can think of all kinds of opportunities for us to use it in the next ongoing. So let's see what else. We participated in a lot of things outside of the library last year, including attending the Nourish Market, the Heritage Fair, Pride event, Heritage Weekend, the Recreation Fair, being at the Friends Book Sale to promote the Strategic Plan Survey, participating in Canada Day and Perth Water Festival. So those are just a couple of highlights of the things that we did in 2025. And yeah, we're always open to more input. So if you're aware of something that's going on that you think the library should be present at, please just let us know.
I can say the Jane Austen evening was very fun.
Oh, good. Excellent. The whole house.
I love that you do. But this is, to me, one of these things that you do annually, and we didn't used to do this. We've only taken this up, I bet, in the last, since you came. And for me, this is one of those things that gives us a really good goalpost of like where we're aiming to be and how our day-to-day operations are meeting that. So anyways, I just wanted to say I appreciate the effort on this and how much I find it really as a useful tool for us to look at. So I just wanted to preface that.
And my one little question here is for the queen of the recyclers, source of cardboard, like, you know, we're all tossing out cardboard. Do you need piles of cardboard
So
or?
this last one, we just got, sorry, I will let, I'm not the only one who has to speak, so I will let you speak, but we did get a lot of it from the liquor store,
Oh, okay.
but.
I was just gonna say, look over there, cause there's stacks over there, and that was only about, I think, a
Okay.
third of what they had offered me, and I was like, that's enough for now, so.
I think Cascade often has, yeah, corrugate. Like when my son worked there, no, it's not cardboard, it's corrugate.
I was actually thinking you have a pretty good connection for cardboard.
Funny enough, the day I
Rebecca.
called,
Yeah, well, the liquor stores.
No, Rebecca Cousins though, because of Cascade.
Oh, yes, yeah.
no, the day I called. the
Anymore.
liquor
Oh, I
store-
but I bet you can still get her.
They were actually I called and spoke to, I don't know who who works there, but she was like, you're my angel. I'm actually looking to get rid of cardboard right now. So it was the weirdest thing. She's like, actually today, in fact. So it was this weird, the universe was.
The universe is ready.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have any other comments on the strategic?
Yeah, I just had a question, just with regards to the accessible shelving for the collection. I was wondering, do we know if the AODA compliance is still kind of a moving target? Or like, is that gonna be something we have to do sooner than 2027? Or I guess maybe that's still up in the air.
We passed our, we are compliant with our, with the requirements now, because we got our recertification. If something changes in the next 4 years, then we would be required. I really can't, I think there's been enough conversation with libraries who are in that spot we're in, saying, like, we have to have notice if you're going to change this, because we have to fundraise or we have to budget for it, or we have to have conversations about reserves, so. I don't think it's something that's gonna drop on us without a reasonable timeline. At least that's not the sense I got from our consultants,
Okay.
so. I am not. I sort of have redirected my energies towards the preparations for 14 Church, quite frankly.
Sure.
However, if we find out differently, I will let you know, but. The last conversation I had last January with the consultant, they weren't implying that there was any. Like, it's not ideal, but we definitely. Sure.
Sure, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion that Sarah drafted, that the strategic plan update report be received and that the library approve this report. Someone, Colin, second? Thank you, all in favor? Okay. Capital campaign fundraising update, it's been a long day.
So, as you saw from the attached, excuse me, minutes. To the board package, both the fundraising advisory team and the capital campaign committee have been meeting. We've only had a couple of meetings and we're just sort of getting to know each other. Our attendance has been a little bit fluid. We had a couple of people come to the first capital campaign meeting that did not return for the second. I think they were more interested in the project and potentially donating and less so in the committee work, which is fine. It's an open meeting. And then we had some new faces at the second meeting. So we haven't been tackling a lot in terms of we sort of just go back and reiterate that we have our terms of reference and we have a role description. And we've started to think about what can be done across the street as we're building our list of donor potential, which is a document that I keep confidential for on behalf of the committee. We've also started to talk about what sort of documents do we need to share with potential donors. So we have 2 documents. One of them is a 4-page and one of them is a 2-page. I believe they were in our last board package. Just to give you an idea, they are organic documents in that we're we're getting feedback from people, both on the new members of the committee, as well as donors as we're having conversations to just tweak them a little bit. So at the moment, there's a committee member who's got marketing background, who's offered to do some refreshing to them again. So that's sitting, there'll be another version of it coming forward. That's okay. They are changing. So in my report here, there's 2 parts. There's the report, the formal report, and then there's the latest piece, which is a plan, and it is just a draft. We've been trying to take a kick at this, so I'll share a couple of things with you. These are tricky documents to write, in that they are intended for the audience of a donor to give them some sense of the project, to excite them about what the space could potentially be used for, to underscore how any contribution from them would be helpful. And a donor can donate on a number of levels, but these documents are supposed to provide a little snapshot of what the space could like, show the square footage, kind of engage them around what the use of it is, and give them a sense of a ballpark donor amount. Those donor amounts are really tricky and they're really specific to a project. And we weren't sure how to do that in a way that speaks to people and doesn't like make it so vague that they're like, well, yeah, but how much? Because those are awkward conversations. So we looked at what information we already had on the 14 Church project. And one of those was the construction cost per square foot that was shared in the August 26th board package from our A+ architect at the time. And so we wondered if that's helpful. It's ultimately this is a conversation at our table. Kind of, we are welcome to make a recommendation. But ultimately, we'd like council to make a decision on this. So I have 2 dates coming up. One, I'm going to join Brent at council next Tuesday to share some good news about donors with council. And the second, I'm coming on March 10th. And I'm hoping with this draft and some feedback from you tonight, that we can put together some thoughts for council and give them some motions that they can vote on and decide. It's been a long time since we talked about that August 26th meeting, so I just wanted to reiterate that in the board package that day, A+ Link's quote was that this was going to be a Class D construction. And that meant that it would be at a construction rate of $180 a square foot, plus or minus 10 to 20%. That I don't really know I had to do some research just with that. But knowing that the project is several years away, and having come through a time when we are aware there was quite a fluctuation in costs around these buildings, this is tricky. So council hopefully will have some thoughts on where they want that number to sit. In terms of this document, we're talking about square footage at 14 Church. It would be handy, I think, and this is just my recommendation, that we come up with some sort of metric that can be worked out either by square footage, or we just determine room by room what we think a reasonable ballpark is. I will share that we've already received a donation from Stevenson, Waghorn, Stevenson, Sippos, and Holton.
Waghorn Stevens is fine.
To contribute to the makerspace, and they have put the value of their donation in honor of Ben at $65,000. So we're very grateful for that donation. The first out of the gate were the Friends of the Library, committing $10,000 to the project overall, and that is the first of several donations they're hoping to make. So we have already had $75,000 pledged. We did have a conversation 2 weeks ago with a potential donor that we're waiting to hear on. And in our list of donors we'd like to approach, we have quite a few. So this document may be part of a conversation. It isn't something that we're going to hand out without that conversation, because I'm coming to learn from different people I'm consulting on this, that it should be part of a conversation. So if it's Colin and I who are going out to see a donor, and we go and we have the conversation with the building and the value of the building, and that we'd love for their contribution, we get a sense of where they think they'd like to donate at. And then we could say, well, we have multiple options for you. We have just a generous donation to the project overall, or we potentially might have naming rights to these spaces at these ballpark rates. So if council can kind of give us that sense of where they want us to be, that's really helpful, because I'll tell you, my 3 a.m. wake up about it is a fear that 5 years down the road, I get blamed because we undervalued the room. If we have a 27 and 28 where the construction costs shoot up. On the opposite side, I don't want it to be so high that donors think, well, now, aren't you all high in my new library board? And we don't get donors. So there is a fine, there's a comfort zone there, and I appreciate that. We took sort of like information that we had to try and find this. Very open to feedback on them. These numbers are just for us to have something to consider tonight.
I have a strong preference that we are more conservative in our budgeting that we suggest, just given project fundraising in the community historically. And I think the town's not gonna wanna do this until we know that the money is ready and in the bank, and that we have people behind it, and you don't know how long these things are gonna take. So if you undervalue the potential cost, and then you have to go back to people and say, actually, it's gonna be 20% more, because we didn't wanna. You're likely gonna be in that in a Class D estimate, you're probably gonna be on the top range as opposed to the bottom.
But maybe the Class D estimate isn't what we use, like that's.
Yeah, I think, so, full disclosure, we talked about this at the meeting, and Angela said, you know, the problem with putting a price tag on it is then people will say, okay, that's what I'm gonna donate. But if you just say that naming rights are available, then you're more open to it. So if somebody says, yeah, I wanna give X, you know, amount, and I'd like naming rights, then you can say, okay, well, here are some of the options, you know, we can look at this room, or we can look at this room, rather than putting in a specific dollar amount.
I'm okay with that, I just meant overall on the project.
Well, so we're not trying to fundraise for the entire project.
No.
So one of the goals, one of the things that we haven't quite decided yet, for example, is what is the fundraising goal going to be? How much are we going to do? So, and that's a decision, is that going to be made by the committee, or is that can be made by
Well,
this
that might be a
board?
topic that we can share at council and get some input from council and see. The other piece of it that we haven't discussed yet, but will be discussed at the committee meetings, is the fact that we are going to apply for some grants. And there are 4 right now that we can apply for, that come in each pretty significantly. So there's we're getting ready to start, staff have a meeting next week to start to put together a Trillium application for capital funding. Then there's another accessibility grant that could help us out with the elevators, the washrooms, and the entrances. That can be up to 250,000 if you are successful on that grant. Then there's a green project. And then there's, I didn't bring my sticky. There's a 4th one that we can consider and see. So it's possible that we could secure some donation or some grant money as well on this project.
But that wouldn't go to our fundraising goal. That
It would go to
the
the overall
project.
Yep.
And so also with that, are we intending to be LED, like LEED certified?
It's not, I don't think it's a LEED fund that we're considering applying for. There's another,
But how do they, sorry,
I don't think so. I've not heard,
okay,
but we don't have an architect right now, so.
okay,
I
it's
can't-
just because how do they identify an energy efficient building without a standard? You know, you might not know, that's.
I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think this is I don't think that a LEED,
LEED's not the only certification.
yeah, I don't think it's a LEED certification we would require for this particular grant. So there's lots of factors happening here, and I think it will be very good to have this conversation tonight and to get your sense, your concerns. And all we're hoping to come up with I have some direction from you as to what you think are reasonable recommendations, but it's ultimately council that will make our decision. So as councillors at the table, if there's questions you want to ask tonight to kind of vet things out, that's great. That's what our conversation should be about.
So just so that I understand, so I mean, it is complicated because it's a town building and we're the library board. So what I was suggesting is we fundraise sort of, you know, it's coming from the library board because we recognize that we are going to significantly benefit from this building. So I think we set our fundraising goal. You go to council and say, the library is committed to fundraising X amount of dollars. So we were first thinking $1 million, and Angela said you should aim higher than that. So she was thinking maybe 1.5 as something to,
But we pushed back pretty hard, right, since you mentioned that. 1.5, we said, for a small town.
well, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. I mean, we have service clubs in town that, you know, could support it. We have some families in town that could support it. So, I mean, but if the library board says we don't want to go over $1 million, then that's fine. But Angela's had a lot of experience with this. I mean, I know Guelph is much bigger, but what was their fundraising goal?
3.5 million and they raised 7, but they're big, lot bigger than we are.
Half of them, different center.
So-
But again, a goal is something you're communicating out to the community to show you have hope and faith in a project. If you exceed that goal, that's even better news, right? So I was kind of feeling like we should be maybe, since I haven't done this before, a little bit conservative so that then we could celebrate if we went over. And it's not that the committee is saying we'll stop having conversations with donors at 750 because we anticipate we're going to get there. That's just a perspective. It's your decision what you'd like to do, but it kind of lets us set a reasonable goal that's not going to seem too beyond what families who are experiencing trouble putting food on tables are going to think about it, but also it lets us celebrate if we exceed it. Just thought.
I think there's still opportunity to celebrate when you hit a milestone. It doesn't have to be the top number, but gosh, if you got 1 million, celebrate and keep going.
And this plan really speaks to the naming pieces. And I think what I haven't finished fleshing out, and I want to be clear about that, is like, yes, we talk about those 7 rooms, but there are more rooms in the building. But what we haven't gotten into too deeply in this report is this idea of donating to the general project. So by that, I mean, you welcome donations of $50, $100, $1,000, $5,000. And you have a way that you recognize those donors in the space before the building is ready and after the building is ready. And then we have things that engage children at much lower levels to make it their library and to make them excited about being over there. And when they're there, they feel they participated in it. So we have all these ways of contributing to the success of 14 Church. So there's some more to come that's not spelled out here.
Okay, this is a total aside, but have you guys ever been to the zoo or those places where there's the place where you put the coin that goes down and it's where it is? My son's obsessed with them. And I'm sure somebody in our town could make one for us. And we would get so much change because parents are dragged to those things and they're like, Mom, what change do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe you should ask. But I think you're right. I love the idea of recognizing kids. I love the idea of making this inclusive. Like, I think it's totally. What about splitting the difference? Like, what if we had 1.25? Like, is it too high?
I think that's pretty ambitious, and I don't think the library board should feel pressure to raise that kind of money to make the project go ahead. Any money raised will certainly speed up the project, but council's committed a lot of money to this project already. So, I mean, we're gonna have a big discussion on where it goes on Tuesday, in terms of financing and how council sees it as well. My concern is in reading this is if you tie it to a per square foot thing, and there may, I'm not an expert in fundraising, it might be out there, but I don't want to alienate, because if you walk into the library tonight and look at the plaque, right, it doesn't say how much, maybe, I know I was on the library way back when, the Sheldon's, it was quite substantial. I think it was $70,000 or something, at that time. And I think that I with all due respect to Angela, and maybe she's an expert, I think $1 million that's pretty ambitious. And I also think that the last thing that I would want to do, to me, part of the fundraising thing is to get a bigger level of community buy-in. In that, if I was a regular library contributor, I got the talk from a relative about how important the library is recently, actually, that World's books about, and I gave $500 because I think that would probably be in her range of affordability, that she would become part of the project and then it spreads.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm very, I'm very surprised and very humbled and thankful at the donation in memory of Ben, because I think it's very classy, but B, it also sets the foundation for this group to do a really good fundraising campaign, because it adds so much credibility to the project. I mean, I think when I heard that, I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. This is an anchor that you can really build
And I
on.
think that was the hope,
And-
making it at that time to get that donation in early, to get the momentum going, to say, we believe in this project.
And
Yeah.
who better than, you know, the credible law firm in town, or respected, whatever. I just think that, like, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, wow, like, this is that's such a fantastic opportunity. And so I think that personally, I don't think that, you know, of course, we want the money, we want the project to go ahead, but if we get wrapped up at, you know, politics is politics, right? It's an election year coming up, and if you set a goal for $1.5 million and you raise 600, is it a failure? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it'd be incredible. That's not maybe the way it's gonna think. You know, I think, yes, you want to try and punch the lights and there's some potential, but I think, you know, respectfully, when I read this, I thought, you know, so who's gonna give 250,000 for a room, right? I mean, I don't know, a dressing room at the arena was not a lot of money. I don't think a room at the hospital was that much money either, actually. And I remember I was on the hospital board when we did the emergency room. Quadro got, if memory serves me right, the sponsor for the emergency room in St. Mary's, which is one of the busiest places, was $75,000, right? So I just, it's
Yeah.
two-tiered, you know, I'm a little concerned about that.
And I think that, and that's why I think Angela said too, you don't want to put a number on, because she said, you know, maybe somebody gives who, you know, they don't give 250,000, but they kind of have a big presence in the community and they will really attract other donors.
Sure.
So I think instead of putting a value on it, we just say that, you know, there's naming opportunities.
I think that makes sense.
So-
We would do the same thing with FOL, like not, it's the same, but you know, you donate in what you can. And in most of the, like in the book sales and things like that, right? I know it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But it's
And
kind
I
of the
think,
spirit.
I think, you know, I think the naming rights, I think that was. I think that was worked on, you know, that had worked for other communities, but I do think the idea that, you know, just letting know the naming rights are available. Because I think that probably was something that went into the thinking that of the donation that in honor of Ben, that people would see that, right? That this is in honor of, you know, in memory of Ben Waghorn. So I think we want to leave that option open for donors, but I don't think we want to tie it, because we don't want people to think, well, you know, what's the point of giving money if, you know, like it's just about getting your name in a room, because the idea that, we want to, and that's as a community we talked about, there will be a way of recognizing everybody who has contributed to that project. And
I think
so-
that's really also just as another thank you on this, like Ben was a beloved figure in the community, so actually like memorializing him with this space, like this space of creating things, like there's something quite poetic about that, and I think it really sets a good intention for the project. I'm not trying to be a super schmaltzy, but like it is quite special, and so thank you. But and obviously the whole firm, but it is something, there's something about that makes me feel like, oh, we're going in a really good direction in this, like it makes me, I think it's a really special thing, so. If you think that we should set a lower goal and then make it a more of a community, let's contribute what everybody can.
I mean, I guess we were a little worried that, you know, a new council may not be as committed to the project
Yeah.
as this council,
You
and
never know.
that if we said, look, this is how committed we are committed to raising this much money, so, you know, you can't go and tell all these community people now, we're not gonna do this project after we've raised all this money. So that was a little bit of the strategic thinking too.
And I think that's wise. I just don't know.
But maybe $1 million, I think we don't, $1 million is sort of the amount that we had originally thought, so maybe that's a good round number to stick with, and.
And maybe it's not something that, you know, if we're asked directly, we share it, but we talk about the goal of making this building happen for the community. And we talk about the value of every donation. So like, it's how you frame
But
it.
I think we want to be able to go to council and say that the library this is the goal that we have in mind.
Does that sound like something, can we ask you that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but is that something you as council would want to hear, that we had a campaign goal? Or would you like to just help celebrate with us the donations we get as we get them, and we share with you the amounts and the activity that raised them? And it's helpful if we kind of get a sense of what you would like. I recognize.
I
you.
guess the way I look at it is I'm not really entirely concerned with a campaign goal. I think honestly, as Al's kind of outlined, like the 65,000 and the 10,000 is already enough to kind of lean me into the project, you know, like, cause just to see that, well, it's like, just to see that you guys have chips on the table as a politician, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, like we can work with this, we can do this from here.
I
So-
think campaign should have a goal.
Yeah,
I just think it just,
Yeah.
you wanna have a goal.
I feel.
And I
the
think $1
same.
million, it sounds like so much money.
I wouldn't.
Really
wanna-
isn't these days that much money, though. It doesn't buy as much as you'd think.
I said, I wouldn't want to call it a pledge, but a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean,
Well, I think
if
that's
it's not
all-
achieved.
That's what you
then-
always say, this is our goal, like the United Way
Yes,
sets a
yeah.
goal and they don't always
Sure.
achieve
So
it.
that there's still the support of council of the day, hopefully so, because, you know, if you don't, well, $1 million, you didn't achieve it, you know.
Yeah.
You didn't.
I don't
fulfill
think
the-
any council
goal.
would say, we're not
No.
gonna proceed with the project because you only raised $900,000.
Yeah,
The other option is we set a interim goal and then we can extend it. That's also sometimes done.
I think we set the goal.
Yeah,
I think we put the ambition out there, we set the goal, we say, look, we're committed.
we've almost raised
Oh, we've almost.
10% already.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I mean, and look, we actually have money set aside for strategic objectives too in our own kit.
Can we talk about a goal for a project goal of $1 million and say that that can include grant money? I'm just trying to.
Yeah, and I think Andrew was
satisfy-
thinking that was gonna include the grant money.
I would
The
think so, too.
1.5 was gonna include the grant money, so
On my.
I would say we
agenda
said,
to ask, like, why wouldn't we include it?
yeah, I think we'd be,
We've done the work to get.
yeah, we'd be applying for the
So-
grants, so we'd be doing it. So I think a goal of $1 million with the grant money, I think it's quite achievable.
Mhm.
You know, honestly, I'd be surprised if we can get a couple $100,000 somehow. So just,
That's right.
you know.
But we have, like, this is something that the board's gonna have to discuss, right? But we have the money that's our not trust
Yes.
in an account.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this is probably something that we as a board have to say, okay, are we gonna commit part of this or all of this, or what I think is an appropriate proportion
Mhm.
to show that we're in committed to this too, and likely, from my perspective, it's a conversation I think we really should be having and probably do need to do.
Yeah.
To show that we've got chips, that we're in as well. And right now, we have a really supportive council. I've been in this job now longer than maybe it looks because of the amount of skincare I do. But we've had less supportive councils. So having a little, and I'm hoping that we obviously isn't the case next term. I want us to have the same relationship. But having that is a little bit of a, like, look, we're committed, look, we put money in, look, all these, it's good, it's a bit of, it's better for us.
Yeah, and that's maybe a conversation for another day about how much do we want to commit
Yeah.
to the project from the reserve fund? How much do we want to hold back for things like equipment and stuff like that?
Exactly, yeah.
So, but like, are we able to go back to the committee and say that the library has, you know, agrees on a goal, fundraising goal
Mhm.
of 1 million?
We can put it as a motion. And Sarah, this is not all on you. By the way, as you wake
No,
up
I know
at
that.
3 AM, thinking about it.
Like 3 AM.
This is
It's always
something,
one.
this is the multi-year thing, right? So,
But I wanna do what the library board's comfortable with, because then I wanna be able to tell the capital campaign. And I wanna also be able to convey it to the community and share it with my colleagues as we're working on these grants and all that. So it's helpful to me if we can articulate that.
Mhm.
Should we pass a motion? I don't have one written for you. I'm
That's
sorry.
one question to it. So if you're gonna set a goal, do you have a timeline as well? Or how does that work, just to be clear?
So up till now, that committee, the capital campaign committee and the fundraising advisory committee have talked about a multi-year campaign for 26, 27, and into 2028.
Perfect.
So yeah, we're looking at a 3-year for all the same reasons we chatted about before. I believe I shared it at the board, which is multiple years, multiple opportunity, multiple tax years to contribute. So And it's gonna take us a while to penetrate into the community, so they know this is happening, especially for young families who wanna be part of it, and it's gonna take a bit. So,
Does that 3-year goal from that we set dovetail with what council wants to see that building finished?
Well, we haven't got there. yet.
Yeah, we are far enough along to know that, yeah.
But we'll drive that
But
bus.
let's- You know,
Well, it's one, it should be in concert.
no question, but part of the reason, let me put this out there as well. The town's financial position will be significantly improved in 2028 compared to where it's at today.
Stay tuned.
No, I mean, the debt falls off the PRC and the MOC, you know, the debt that was put up there before, I mean. And that's another reason for this, and council will be talking about this on Tuesday as well, I mean, that there was a lot of multi-year pledges when they did the PRC facility, and then. I don't think it was financed properly, I put it that way, it put the town in a very precarious position, in my opinion, in some respect. And the pledges when. I don't wanna say this, the financing plan wasn't one that I would have agreed with.
As an
I'll leave it at that.
As an athlete, I think
but-
you're.
But the reality is that, you know, I think that, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of discussion on council as on terms of what if or whatever, but. I mean, I'm surprised and impressed if the library board feels that strongly about the project, they can raise $1 million. I mean, I think it's gonna make a lot easier sale at council, and it's gonna make a lot more sense in terms of how we plan it out. And if the goal is a 3-year term to 2028, I mean, I think it's very realistic, and I think. You could maybe even see the project start sooner than that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think 3
Yeah.
years is realistic, and
Yeah.
And
if
there's
you make
no-
it too long, then you run it, you lose your momentum.
And I have, in my research found that it's okay, like, let's say we had a real windfall and we are able to proceed with a fall 2027 open. Just saying. I win the 80 million and I can donate some. Then.
The Sarah Andrews building.
Then it's okay to still have a capital campaign winding down as you open a facility for about 4 to 6 months. So even if timelines change, we probably would still have the goal of a 3-year campaign.
But I am very nervous of that because
Are
of the PRC. And I can say that, I don't think any of you guys can say that, but I can say that because there was a lot of money committed on the PRC and there was a lot of money. I would prefer to have as much money in the kitty
Yes.
before.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just, and also I would assume that people in the town, given what happened with the PRC and the tax burden that it created,
Yes.
would have a similar concern that I would have. That
So-
they would be a little bit more reticent of doing that.
I think you don't reach your goal until you have the money in the bank.
Like you don't just build, or
Yeah.
you don't, yeah.
Well, I mean, they may build earlier
Yeah.
because this is only a
Yeah.
portion, right? There's
Yeah.
so much that has to be done
Yeah, that's right.
before you would start.
You know, but
This
not going
part.
down a rabbit hole, you may get people like Friends of the Library or. You know,
Yeah.
service clubs or something that'll wanna make a 5-year pledge or a 10-year pledge, where, you know, they don't have, they say we're in.
And
that.
that's okay, yeah, but I'm just saying like, you wanna have the majority of the money.
Sure.
And that's why we're front loading our list and are starting to book our visits, and I'm
Yeah.
going to try and hit every service club in the next 2 quarters. Like, we're front loading all of that.
Yeah.
Because we do wanna secure as much as we can.
But I also
That's
think that
reasonable.
part of the message needs to be modernization. I mean, it's not tonight about, you know, the accessibility, where's that at? Ever since I've been, you know, in my role as a mayor, they've been saying it's gonna happen in the next 2 years, right? So that's 12 years ago now. But the reality is it is coming someday, and this building is gonna become very obsolete very quick unless a lot of money is thrown at it. So I think it's also important that the messaging also is that we want the building is also gonna fulfill the needs, because the building is being designed, and we can see with some flexibility, you know, down the road. To address the challenges that are coming, that the government's gonna force us to do. It's not just about we want more space or your library, it's also preparing for the future.
It's not just what the government wants us to do, but it's what the community's gonna need,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Because people are getting older and,
Yes,
so
I can definitely
there's nothing, it's like,
incorporate that theme for sure.
like when I was, before when we had paper and I would go to court and I'd have like this big trolley full of boxes of files. I realized how important those, you know, push buttons were to open a door, right? So
Yeah.
accessibility benefits absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, as our population ages, it's gonna be more and more important.
Okay,
So
so,
I will,
make your make a motion?
should I make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I
So
will
this will
move
be the third motion. for
that
this.
that the library,
The report be received.
the report be received and so I'm talking, no, this is a separate motion.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is-
This isn't
okay.
about the plan.
I'm writing it.
This isn't about the donor plan. This is just about that the library board endorses a fundraising goal for the capital campaign committee of $1 million over 3 years.
Do I have a second? All in favor? So carried. Oh, boy, I got chills. I got chills. Woo! Okay, well, we had two other motions recommended here about the report and the recognition plan and that the recognition plan be shared with council.
So I'm gonna suggest that we take out the dollar amounts and just say that naming rights are available,
Yeah,
you know, depending on the level of, which is kind of what you did with the maker space, right?
I think you're.
Yeah.
I think everybody's on board with that, right? Don't need the
Yeah.
not dollar amounts, so.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Bart said?
So I then am going to change the third recommendation to read that the amended donor recognition plan and those amendments are the removal of the amounts. Is that reasonable?
Can somebody make all three motions? That the capital campaign fundraising update report be received, that the library board, oh, let's do them one at a time. Can someone make that motion about the update report being received? All in second,
That's,
all in favor?
Sorry,
So-
second was Carol,
Your second was Carol, yeah,
got it?
that the donor recognition plan
As amended,
as amended, we recommend the plan. That's Fern, seconded by Colin, all in favor, so carried. And then the final motion that the recognition plan be shared with council for their consideration and approval at a future meeting
the recognition plan as amended.
as amended. Perfect, Brogan, second, Fern, all in favor, so carried. Perfect. And I'm gonna give you a direction, Sarah. That can you do a little bit of investigation on what
Yes,
our fund
yes,
and bring it back to us just to see what
Okay.
we're at and
absolutely.
also just to if you can find, I know we have it. We are not bound to what was asked, it's not bound by a trust. But I think that we want to honor the intentions of the people who donated the money. I believe that had been located, the intentions of why of the donor who made the donation. So that we can just ensure that there's alignment there too.
So would you like me at a future meeting, and I'm wording it that way for something that's gonna come up next, but probably the second meeting. Bring forward information for you about the reserve and the trust, is that what you're
Yes.
asking? Okay.
Both of these, the trusting folks, because it's not a trust.
Okay.
Whatever it's, what we would refer to as the trust.
Yeah.
Is that, everybody okay with that? Okay.
Would you like any other information to accompany that? I'll see what I can pull up about like the intention of that and if I can find any supplementary information, but if you think of anything particular that you'd like, I just let me know.
And just how much there is. I think I know how much there is, but.
Thank you. That was a great discussion, helpful. I guess my only question will be, and this might be something we deal with, we come back to you with a recommendation from the committee itself. So if we are the staff people who are out having these conversations, how do we know ballpark what is reasonable? So if we're having a conversation about naming rights, is that something you'd like us to bring back to the library board?
Fine, I think, as we've alluded to a couple of times, depending on the donor and the conversation you're having, I think it will allow us, if you and I are the ones there, allow us to gauge with this person, right, where they
Okay.
a $10,000 hit, maybe a 2,000, 5,000. We'll be able to judge what we think this.
And
person-
donors may tell you what they want, right?
Well, I guess a lot of donors, if we mention that there is naming rights available, you know, their first question is, oh, what does that give me? And how much is it, right? Those are the two questions we're gonna get. So,
And as library board members, you're comfortable with us having those conversations. I just don't wanna put a committee member in a tricky place that is a disappointment to you as board members or for council. So I just wanna make sure that, you know, cause we'll lose a committee member darn quick if that happens, so. I just don't want, I wanna put people in a place where they're comfortable having those conversations, so if.
I think we would be giving, like, we do have a capital campaign fundraising committee, and I think we have to give them the tools to make those decisions. And, you know, to gauge when they think it's appropriate to come back, and so somebody says, I want to name, you know, like the sound studio, and we probably fine with that. Somebody says, you know, well, I want the big room.
I want the building.
Yeah, or I want the
we did
building.
have that discussion. How many rooms were on the plan that we were going to make available? And with what length of term, right? We didn't want these open-ended naming rights to forever, ever. So I think the PRC does that. Those rooms, nobody knows who they are, at least half those rooms, so. We need those decisions so we can move forward, because those are the questions. It's gonna cost me $10,000, and that's, you're gonna have those naming rights for 5 years, 10 years. But the smaller rooms, obviously, a small meeting room is not gonna be the same as a big conference.
I think there's gonna be some discussion that the people who are having that conversation. So let's say this person says, I'm gonna give you $1 million right off, or like, I'm gonna give you $500,000. I think everybody in the room is gonna be like, oh yeah, that we're comfortable, you know, but I have quite a bit of faith, Colin, in you and Sarah, and like, I think this is a trust situation, and if we are complaining afterwards, then you know, we should have gotten off our asses and gone to the meeting, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think
Second
that,
guess.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna second guess everybody. These are bright individuals who have the best intentions, and Angela's also on board, and Sarah, you've been doing so much research.
Well, and again, we get a massive donation like that,
Yeah.
joking about $1 million, but geez, we stopped calling it 14 Church and we started calling it that name.
Yeah, yeah.
If they want that. Not everybody wants,
You're right.
not
Some
everybody
people
wants
don't, they
naming
want to do a
rights,
minor.
right?
And only for
Or
10
in memory
years.
of.
It's only for 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that extra conversation itself.
Okay. I'm not, if people don't align with that, feel free to speak, but I think. we're all-
Yeah, we do have a committee, and
We can use them.
that, we have a committee for a
Well,
reason.
And we might get to a point where
We
it's a
may-
serious donor and we might say, you know what? We do have some naming rights available, but we need to take some of this back to the committee for discussion, if you don't mind waiting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be
But-
times where we're gonna say,
It
As a
might
com-
be a gray area that we
Yeah.
don't want to jump into.
Okay, great stuff. Anything else? All right. Move on to library policy review. Sarah, you're up.
So in front of you is the final existing policy for us to review during our 4-year
Yay.
mandate. Right.
you are amazing.
There are not a lot of recommended changes to the policy. There were a few changes, just made to some notation that's done in the policy notes, to make sure it's up to date. We still meet the standard of what accessibility policies should be as outlined by our consultants at OLS. So there was very, very minor changes recommended there. So once this is approved, it goes up on our website, and it's available for the community to consult. And then we can start, I'll have a look and see if there's any new policies that we would like to add as our legacy for the next board. So there may be a few more come forward, but there'll be new policies. Any questions about the content?
I didn't have any, but any comment? does somebody wanna make a motion to receive this report and then approve this accessibility policy?
Shine.
Thank you. Second. Thank you.
The
All
person
in
who's read it
favor?
most carefully, I'm sure.
All right, wonderful.
And as I mentioned, before, when policies come forward to you as board members, I also take the opportunity to revisit it at staff meetings.
Nice.
Just to refresh it, when we had quite a good chat about it on Wednesday morning at our staff meetings.
Wonderful. Okay, strategic plan development.
Also, the final report in the board package for you this month is, helping to set us up a little bit for getting ready to write the new strategic plan. You'll recall that our goal was to write a draft plan for the next board. Now that we're sort of 3 years into our mandate and we are a little more comfortable with policy, procedure, the governance of the library, we will write the strategic plan as a legacy document for the next board. They then decide if that's where they want to take it word for word, or they want to amend it, or whatever they wish to do. So we had our survey results, which I provided for you at the December meeting, that were word for word exactly as the feedback we received. There was lots of duplication in that, so it was a bit of an unwieldy document. So what I did this month was take what I considered to be themes from that feedback and summarized it. And I took the liberty of summarizing it under our strategic pillars. So I was first of all curious if any new pillar would appear that we should sort of have there. But I was able to sort of group everything. Now, I didn't take all feedback and put it here. I took things that I thought either we were doing now and needed better marketing to the community that we did it, or I took things that I didn't feel we had done. But I didn't incorporate everything. Like I didn't put that we wanted more Sunday or Saturday hours, or that sort of thing. That still lives in the original list of feedback. So I hope that this helps you as you're considering what you'd like to bring forward for the strategic plan. That it just sort of helps to kind of crystallize, but use both. Use the, go back to that full list of feedback as well as this, because I think there might be things there that you'd like to directly speak to in the strategic plan. So I'd like to propose that the next step will be some time together to brainstorm and chat about strategic direction. Consider what our pillars are, consider if there's anything that we want to focus on, and also talk about initiatives. What didn't we accomplish, or what didn't we have in our list this time that you think, gosh, I really think we should do something about AI, or a change in the role that you see libraries having. So what I have done, and I did so in consultation with Cole, was I invited the Ontario Library Services consultant to join us at our March meeting and give us some time together. They'll lead it, and we'll have some planning time and some time to chat about things. And then hopefully with the two extra other pieces, you can then say, I like these things. We can write them all down, and then you can task me with writing you a draft. So that's my recommendation to you tonight. As long as you're good with that, we have the OLS staff member booked. She was my branch librarian in my old world, which is sort of cool, because she's now arriving in her new role, and she's really good at this. So I think you will enjoy working with her. And I think that it's nice that I step back and let someone other than me lead it. So I'll participate for sure, but
It was exceptionally affordable.
was it $100?
You're like $100. She's coming for $100. I was like, is it okay if I book it? I was like $100? I'll pay. That's amazing.
Yeah. Does that sound like a good next step for us?
Yeah.
And then we can be productive in that, what would have normally been our regular board meeting time, so I'm not making demands on your Saturdays or your Sundays. And I think that having watched some of these ladies work, especially if there's a different one worked with us for the PCIN, strategic plan last time. They just make it so easy, so.
Oh, nice.
All right, well then our March meeting will be focused on that brainstorming for the strategic plan. And we probably will not broadcast that meeting unless you would like to do it on camera. However, that means that the bringing back the budget information will happen at the next meeting after that. I can't remember if it's an April or a May meeting. I think it's a May meeting.
Yeah, we may need to have another one given everything happening.
We probably will,
Yeah.
because it's an election year anyway, we'll probably have more than our set, we'll probably have one more anyway. So if that sounds good, we'll proceed with that plan.
Wonderful.
And I think I have two motions here.
Yes. We have a motion that the strategic plan development report be received. Oh, did anybody have any comments or questions about that? Any additional?
I was wondering, how do you host a dog? How do you host sorry, in that,
Oh,
that
the
thing that was
dog,
just went-
the-
yeah.
the
Yes.
dog.
Yeah, it's not complicated.
Therapy dog.
I've booked
Oh.
them before. You
Oh, they just
you
come in
call
and-
them and you schedule a time and they bring the pet, you advertise it that
Okay.
you're doing it, and depending on how proximity wise, how close they are to us. We used to book them on a regular basis in London and advertise that they were happening, and people used to come just for that.
Okay, just to interact with the therapy dog and see if
Yeah.
that experience
And
is.
some
helpful.
libraries go so far as to book animals to do reading just with children. So you can book a time and sit with the pet and the child reads to the pet.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I mean, the
That's
dog
nice.
therapy, goats, you get
Yeah.
all sorts of.
Very
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, then, yeah, and to be honest, we actually discussed it at our staff meeting. We're probably gonna do that in 2026 anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
pretty.
okay, it's already on the. Yeah.
Okay, can someone, this report be received, the strategic plan development report be received? Thank you, Colin, second. Bergen, all in favor, so carried. And that the library board consider this data as they prepare the 2027 to 2030 strategic plan. Right, second, okay, we've got it. All in favor? So carried, marvelous. Okay, round table. Anything people want to go forward on round table? No, no. I think that we talked a lot about a lot of different things tonight, so. I'm gonna move over then to our highlight of the evening, Friends of the Library report.
Oh, boy, this is like a blast from the past because their meeting was on December the 11th. last year. So it's quite dated, but anyway, the Friends of the Library brochure is in the process of going through a revision process to freshen up the look and address information about a new website and how donations will be handled with regard to receipts. Discussions will be ongoing to iron out the wrinkles. Participation in the next farmers market will be April the 4th. They did participate, I'm sorry, they did not participate in the one that was most recent. There is a market on the 24th, but that was the same day as the AGM. The decision was made to focus their interests on the AGM. The monthly socials continue to attract new attendees as well as ones who have been attending in years past. The December social was a fun evening with snacks, apple cider, and a couple of games. I was there and it was quite delightful. A number of volunteers did a lot of work to make the evening a delight. The next social is scheduled for January the 14th, which is past, so you don't need to know about that. However, the next meeting is going to be next Wednesday, and Caroline will be the guest speaker talking about
Upcoming events in 2026, a brief, probably synopsis of like our attendance at the ELA conference, which was very exciting for me because it was my first conference. And probably just a general, overview of like my experience thus far in this public library and how fulfilling and, yeah, and I was just doing great job. Yeah, so that'll just be.
There we are. Yes, so that is as current as I could come up with there. Thank you. The FOL's contribution to Giving Tuesday was two free skates at the PRC on December 23rd and 30th. The Friends are in consultation phase of offering a scholarship to a DCVI graduate. Information about the Friends guidelines for scholarship will be presented to the school in January. Further dates in 2026 will finalize arrangements for application deadlines and a decision on the recipient by June. Through the Meridian Credit Union, Friends of the Library will benefit financially from volunteer work done by Meridian employees. Meridian Credit Union will pay for their time to volunteer. The new FOL website is ready to launch. The creators of it will click the publish button or click on publish at the 8 p.m. I'm not entirely sure that that actually came to pass because there were a few little tweaks that had to be dealt with, but very soon. The dates for the 2026 book sales will be worked out by a team of interested parties: Jason Clark from the Curling Club, Jenny Makita of the Friendship Center, and Reg Quinton of the Friends of the Library. That team should come up with a schedule to have everyone smiling. The update, which is very recent from the post-AGM meeting, which is now that Megan Feeney is the new chair of the Friends of the Library. Steve Walsh is now the new vice chair, which is a position that has been vacant for a long time, in addition to being the treasurer. There is a very new member of the management committee, Christina Karakis, and she is on deck to support the treasurer, Steve, and ultimately to take over the position of treasurer. Her qualifications as an accountant mean that he knows where the credits and the debits go. So that is definitely the newest information that's available. That's quite Pulitzer Prize winning. Sorry.
Oh, excellent. It was it was also a very good AGM.
Yes.
Yeah. It was, and that was well attended, and it was also just nice to see how many people are joining the management committee this week.
Yes, and there, actually, that's one other thing I neglected, is that they're very much tinkering with the time that they're having the meetings, because typically it was 10:30 in the morning on a weekday morning, which was basically meaning that anybody who was gainfully employed was not able to attend the meetings. So that there's a lot of discussion about switching the times around so that people who are working can attend. So I think they're kind of a 6 until 8 time frame now.
Yeah, I've been trying to get to one of those meetings for a while. Couldn't make it work.
Right, yes, and but most of the people up to this point have been retired people, so that 10:30 in the morning was just ducky for everybody, and then everybody went out for lunch and had a coffee after the meeting was over. But it was really being very limiting to anybody who was working, so.
Like your new chair.
Yes, like the new chair.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Thank you again. We're nothing without our friends. Thank you. And we're all
They're working so hard for everybody. You know.
yeah, they really are.
Very dedicated, engaged group.
An amazing library advocates too in our community. Anyways, I think it's great. It's great to hear that there's so much interest. So we have a recommendation that the verbal Friends of the Library report be received. This is a new motion. Have we done that before?
I think we just indicate that the report was
We
received.
just say we
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Okay,
You don't have
Yeah.
to vote on this.
all right, good.
We're not gonna, we've already received it, it's too late now.
I've never really noticed that, and I'm having a moment. All right, next meeting is March 5th at 6:45 here. And
Now, would you like to pull that forward a little bit? Do you want to do a 6:30? Or do you want to stay at 6:45 and have the consultant join us for an hour and a half?
oh, so she can come at 6:30?
She could, yeah, but it's just whether you're available, like, it's changing the time, your
I
schedules
think
may not
6:30 is
allow.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
could even, yeah, or we could even try and do earlier and bring dinner or something.
I
too.
tell myself at 6:30, so I get it.
Yeah,
That's, would you like to do that?
I'm just trying to think of if that would be easier on the consultant, where's she driving in from?
London.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. So we can come 6:30, hopefully people, and most people have breakfast.
Would you like some refreshments?
Fine.
Cool beverages, DB?
If you had any mojitos, I won't be here.
No.
You're already having one, you guys?
Mhm.
Good for
Good
you.
minute.
Nice.
No, you won't be here.
But
That's too bad.
That'll be lovely. Okay, well then we'll do 6:30, I guess, and we'll, and we're very excited that this person can attend. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn at 8:01 PM?
Woo.